Hello everyone, today we are discussing the official Witcher cookbook with the authors of the cookbook. We have Anita and Karolina in the tavern.
It's a real treat.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you. Like we mentioned before we started the recording, we're coming full circle.
Yes.
Because I remember we worked on this project for quite a long time. I remember we worked on it when I joined the company.
Yeah.
And I actually want to start from the beginning.
Okay.
So how did you get to this point? Like, how did you start off? How did you both meet? Because I know it's an interesting story.
Yeah. In fact, I started as an author of a blog about food in video games, because food motives in video games and pop culture is very important for me, and how it affects the immersion and world building. And then I met Karolina just because of The Witcher, because someone asked me about recipe from the books, but I wasn't really doing recipes from the books at that time. And that's how we've met, and that's how we started creating more fan-made recipes from The Witcher. And then we started collaborating with you.
Yeah, it's been incredible. I remember we were sharing like the basics, let's say, of some of the recipes on social media, Witcher social media, of course. But now we have a book, but looking at it, it's totally different than what you would expect from a normal cookbook. It's very, how to say, like immersed and set in the world of The Witcher. And you can actually tell it by the cover. The cover is not just portraying any type of like food photos, actually has a story attached to it. So what was the idea behind like mixing a little bit more of lore into this cookbook?
Maybe Karolina, you can start.
So we definitely try to break the rules a little bit, because we create a picture that actually creates something like the opening. Before you go to the book, you see what you can expect. Here we have a culinary journey and some little Easter eggs in the front cover and the back cover, with, for example, with Guagolica. But I don't spoil anything.
Yeah, but we are focusing here on our narrator and her journey. Instead of a regular, let's say, food set that it's normally associated with cookbooks, we wanted to break this rule, and we wanted to set, let's say, a background for our narrative in this cookbook. So you can expect more from this cookbook, not just recipes.
Yeah, and just a little fun fact, you can see the narrator diary. This is the real prop that we have.
Yeah. So we have a lot of Easter eggs for you, so search for them.
Yeah, it makes it more immersive instead of just having, recipes pretty much like, okay, main course, dessert, blah, 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 blah. But now you're here, you're venturing through the land of the Witcher world, and you're pretty much seeing these recipes from the perspective of different regions, and it's incredible. The other incredible thing, I actually have the book open here. I have it on the foreword that was done by Mr. Andrzej Sapkowski himself. 5 pages. I mean, that was
a lot.
It's a lot, and he's very into cooking himself, which makes it also more realistic. He talks about it in the foreword, saying that like you said, that we look at games and books and food in it like it's something that we might take for granted because it's there.
But it's something more.
But it's something more. It completes the world. It also, like you said, works on the immersion. So you're more immersed into a world where the food is more believable, as well as it's also something that pretty much complements the whole world.
Like we have architecture, we have clothes. Why not to focus on food as well, right? Like it builds all the world, and that's what Mr. Sapkowski did. Like he explained a lot about his inspirations for his books, and to be honest, when we've learned that he's going to write a foreword for our cookbook, and when we read it, like literally tears in our eyes. Like for Witcher fans, for us is like a dream come true. Not only making an official cookbook, but come on, the creator of The Witcher
himself
is also contributing to that. So it's incredible.
And I also know not only did Mr. Sapkowski do the foreword, he also mentioned something that is very dear for him, and it's a specific soup that we made here in Poland. It's called zalewajka. You'll learn more about it in the book. I won't spoil it, but I'll actually read a part of it. It's the smell of my childhood, me, a second-generation Lozermensch. a person from Łódź, in a nutshell. The recipe as outlined in the Seasons of Storm is, by the way, complete and accurate. I can easily be used to prepare the dish. Any capable and thrifty innkeeper could manage it. So that's
that's a beautiful quote.
Yeah, that's also a lot of like, you know, this is of course one of the things that he mentioned, but he also talked about other dishes and actually mentioned that they are on point. And there's also some things which you introduced, and for example, it's the kaszanka with eggs that he tried to do, and he did it, and he's like, yeah, I did it. It's actually pretty good. So incredible.
So it's great that he mentions so many details about his inspirations from his books about food, because it's so crucial element of the Witcher universe.
And he spoiled a little bit how to prepare the fish soup from the Baptist on Fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, as well.
Yeah, it's here in the forward.
It's here in the forward. So yeah.
He knows his food very well. He's also kind of a foodie, I would say. Yeah. He's the type of person that we all kind of look up into, because like we were also talking before, we really grew up on his work. So it's something that, you know, is super important, and it has to be super important for you, because I know this book took you like what, 7 years, I could say, like from the early beginnings, when
maybe not the book itself, but all the process, that led to this cookbook. But yeah, the process was quite long, complex, and so on. But I think we needed that time to be able to understand.
And to achieve this quality of the cookbook and the content for the fans. I think like we are now in the right time.
Yes, I think so.
Speaking of the content, what's the structure of the book? If you could like tell it to someone who, for example, maybe like me, is not very into cooking, but from time to time likes to do a couple dishes that I enjoy. Like, how easy is it for me to get immersed? Apart from the photos which I saw, which pretty much had me like salivating all the time.
The photos, of course, is like the main event from my perspective, because for Anita it's of course the recipe, but my part was of course the photos and the design of the cookbook, like the ornaments and so on. Here, of course, I work with Przemysł Flawiuszyk and others, artists from a publisher side and your side, CDPR, and we together created amazing ornaments connected to the European folklore and culture, and of course some Polish and Slavic. But the structure, we focus on the chapters. We have like 8 chapters. The last one is very special, but I will not say any. Maybe Anita later. But the 7 chapters brings you to the locations that you know from the Witcher games, from the Andrzej Sapkowski's book. We have White Orchard, Welland, and so on.
It's a journey.
It's a journey, and I think when someone opens up this book on this random page, will know in which locations we are. This is Skellige, this is White Orchard, and the food is also very structured to the chapters.
And it's connected with
I just only have few ideas, like Anita, we need mahakam potato soup, because it's iconic dish, but like
we have to place it in the right region.
The whole menu is like creations of Anita, and she did magnificent work.
Thank you. But you did a magnificent work on the visuals
we are a good
with
team.
your with the whole art team. And I'm really proud of this structure, just because it's not regular. Like when you see the regular cookbook, you have the main dish, you have dessert, and there's no immersion, like you said. And for us, The Witcher, like all games books, are all about immersion. So that's what we wanted to achieve in this cookbook as well, and we really hope that fans will warmly receive our idea.
So there's a lot of variety. I also was going quickly through the book because I know these are some of like the first, let's say, copies that we managed to get our hands on. Which is incredible to see it come to life. I saw there's a little bit of everything. There's pasta dishes, there's a little bit of soups, there's even a porridge, which I love, but with a different spin to it. And can you tell me a little bit about the recipes? Some of the things that stand out to you, or things that you feel like, of course, there's like the chicken sandwich, for example, which is like a cult classic when it comes to Witcher 3
we had to
players, but there's more. So tell me a little bit about the recipes themselves.
In fact, for us, creating this cookbook was all about mixing all the inspirations and all the knowledge we have about the universe and all the references that were made, in fact, in the original works. So we just combined it all into this cookbook. So I've digged, for example, up for some old Polish cuisines, even some Slavic regions and so on, how they managed, for example, to make porridge with addition of flour, not only the oat flakes. So In fact, we have a variety of recipes that are attached to the region. So in Velen you have simpler foods, in Beauclair more exquisite, more fancy, and we also have like many recipes that are connected with Polish cuisine because even in the books we have a lot of mentions about the cuisine that is connected to our roots, in fact.
Exactly.
So how couldn't we implement them? It was impossible. So,
But people must always remember that we only create inspiration. So if they knew a dish, like for example from Beauclair to Saône that is connected to the French-Italian style, just please remember this is our interpretation. So everything can be changed, and you also should be experimenting in the kitchen.
Yes. Because for us it was like having the interpretation, not the exact thing. Like, for example, you had a lot of consumables, notes, assets in your game that were connected to the food. So we just gathered all these informations and just thought, okay, if we have our narrator that is going through some regions, maybe she will, for example, see the same dish, but in another, let's say, variety, because someone else did it. So, because it depends.
So we have the visuals, we have the recipes, but you're talking about the narrator. So she is venturing through this land. What's her story? Like in a nutshell, without spoiling a lot of it, because I feel like it's also one of these things. If you're into The Witcher, maybe you want to dabble into cooking. This is something that kind of completes the world in my sense, because it adds something to it. And it's kind of similar to what we do when it comes to The Witcher. Like we complement the world, which was already created by Andrzej Sapkowski. And I feel like you're doing the same thing. You're having a character enter here, and she is moving through the world while making her own diary and journal, and also taking notes of the recipes that she sees throughout the world. So, like, what's going on here?
Here, I'm thinking we must mention Marcin Batylda, the master of DCR, because everything's happened because he helped us a lot. I spent with him a lot of time. We created the narrator together, the stories together, and for me, the way he guided me through all the tangles of the Witcher world was amazing, and thanks to that, I think we created very real person. And the story is very simple. Like our narrator is from Kovier, and she loves food.
But she's a cartographer.
Okay, like
so that's her passion. That's her passion.
It's my job, but I sometimes think like looking at her, like she can be a
kind of a foodie.
Yeah, a foodie.
As they would say nowadays.
Officially, she's a cartographer. But you know, everybody has hobbies. And in our story, for the first time, she goes beyond the Kovier's border, and the story can go to different directions, right, Anita?
Yes. And she looks at it from the outsider's perspective, and that's important because we as fans look at this universe from the outsider perspective, and I think that's crucial to, let's say, believe in what she's experiencing and feel it.
It's more realistic, more tangible in this case. What about the challenges? Because we're talking about all the things that were happening but there has to be a lot of challenges.
A huge project, complex project. In fact, our first big cookbook, let's say. In fact, written in a different language, because we are not natives, as you can hear. But yes, it was complex, it was challenging, but it was also a big fun for us. We had a great time with you guys, like spending with all the people from your company, from our publisher. We learned a lot, like totally a lot. We know that some things are not perfect because we will do this cookbook for 10 years probably. But we know that...
We can improve.
But we really had a great journey with that. And I love what we achieved, and I really hope that people will love it too.
Yeah, from my perspective, but I think on the both, I'm a little sad that our journey ends, but from another perspective, I'm really happy that people will see this cookbook and go to the kitchen and cook.
Yeah, but
together almost. with
speaking
us.
about challenges, it wasn't only language, it was also like adjusting things to the global audience.
Yeah,
like
that's always a problem.
Yes.
Because we have different measurements throughout
of course,
throughout
it's
the
not only
world.
about measurements.
We have grams, others have cups and stuff like that.
Yeah, and also you have different stoves, different ingredients,
and products.
It's so hard, especially when we have the cuisine that we are used to here in Poland, but maybe not exactly in the US. So
that's why we enjoy food so much, because it's different throughout the world, and we try to sometimes, pick things from different regions and try to make it our own. But sometimes things which are set as they are set here in the medieval world, and also they kind of play into the roots of the food that we make here in Poland, or our grandmothers used to make, or our people even before that time, is very hard to translate to different regions of the world.
Yes, but it's still a fun, right? We have to play with food, not to treat them like a strict guideline. We just have to play with food, play around, and just have fun with it.
Actually, working on this cookbook, we play with food, but also play with vocabulary, right? Because we have problems between differences between the Polish language and the English language, and here Boris and his team rescue us a little bit, a lot, I think. And I hope that people will feel the vibe that we created, that is very urgent.
That we wanted to.
Yeah, that is very urgent to the sources like the game and the books, and I couldn't wait to
because
say.
we have a lot of cultural references and Easter eggs in our stories, because for each recipe there's a story. There's a story that if you read the books, if you play the games, you will know what they reference to.
We're even joking that this cookbook should be an extended edition, because I cut with Marcin so much.
Director's cut, extended director's cut.
Like the stories is like one long page, and then we go to our publisher and we're like, oh, we must cut something. We're like, okay.
Yeah, it was funny because we were talking also before we started recording that you had to kind of fit both the story as well as the recipe itself. Some of the recipes are super complex when you need to make a specific dough for something. It takes a lot of time, and it has a lot of steps before you actually get into making the dish itself. So actually that prep before takes quite some time. So we probably had to, cut a little bit here, cut a little bit there.
We fought with each other about that. Like, what will
it's now
be
your turn
cut?
to cut something. Next will mine.
Should we cut the story, or should we cut something like from the recipe? Not the recipe itself, but maybe some additional information that we wanted to have inside. But I think that
in the end, our publisher are very helpful to us.
Very flexible.
And
that was great. Good. That the whole idea we had for the book, and let's say that this clear vision we had, you both, CDPR and publisher, caught this idea in a glance, and it was just we all strived for one direction. So that was real cool, that we all know what we want to achieve, and we just complement each other with all the skills that, for example, the art team had. We just had ideas, but we didn't know how to implement them, so they helped us. And I think that it was really teamwork, not only our work.
Yeah, it looks like a passion project, and also, like you said, a lot of people involved from our side, your side, and also adding Mr. Andrzej Sapkowski to the mix is just incredible, because it feels like everyone from different directions, all talking about The Witcher, are coming into one place and bringing it into an awesome cookbook, because it looks incredible. Also, kudos on the photos, because the photos here, you could have done this in any other way. You could have the setting for the photos totally be like a normal modern kitchen, but no, it actually shows you the setting is like when we're in Velen, we're in Velen. When we're in Beauclair, we're in Beauclair. It looks totally different, and it's supposed to be that way. And it also adds to the whole immersion. It's very realistic. So
thanks,
so kudos.
Especially to Karolina.
But it must have been also difficult, right? It's not easy to make that in a snap of a finger.
I think that the searching of the props will be difficult, because of course sometimes when I use something handmade, I must go to some museums, festivals, and so on. But I think the most challenging part was Anita. Kitchen, living room /
because majority of our set was done in my home, in my flat.
So you have to transform your flat into a medieval tavern.
And then sweep
and
the floors.
I see her face, I'm coming with sand or just rocks.
Yeah.
I know how it
Like,
ends.
yeah, we had different regions in my flat, like Skellige, Beauclair, the whole journey in
You
my
gotta
flat.
adapt. You gotta adapt. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
at
my
the end, we
flat.
try to avoid just a plate on the table or something very simple. Of course, we have more simple photos, but still we want to achieve like a little glimpse of a street, of some corner of the tavern, and
Yeah. So we try to depict all the regions. So if you look at the photo, you feel the vibe. Not only see the food, because it would be just boring for us.
Yeah. Awesome. Incredible setting. Okay, anything else that you want to add to round off this discussion? And also, a most important question is, when can we start getting this book, and when can we start cooking, actually?
The second part of November 2023. And if you're looking for other language editions, you have to look for your local publishers and local bookstores. And what else can we add? That we're very thankful for all you guys, for our publisher, for our fans as well, because without our fans we couldn't do it. with our followers, and we really hope that that's what we created together in a teamwork will be, let's say, a good addition to the Witcher universe.
I think it is. I think it is.
Yeah.
Hands down it is, because like I said, I was looking through it, I was reading some of the things. It's incredible. So thank you very much for doing this. It's a passion project, like I said, and totally can sign my name under it. Perfect.
Yeah, thank you
Awesome.
so much.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for joining me today for this small dive into the book. I can't wait for everybody to get their hands on it and find and actually check all the recipes, but also check out the story for themselves of the narrator, because it's incredible. So I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you for coming to the tavern.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, my pleasure.